Hi, and welcome back to Sticks and Strings. I'm Naomi.
I'm Beth.
I'm Eve.
And I hope your turkeys are thawing well. Mine is in the fridge. I panicked and put it in the fridge on Thursday because I'm all day Wednesday at work. I mean, all day Friday at work, and I'm worried. It never thaws in time. And this year I'm brining it differently. I didn't get the brine from the farmer's market. I haven't been to the farmer's market. I think about it at noon on Saturdays. Anyway,
it's so hard to go.
It's so hard to get up there. So I didn't get the
so
special
big walking through there.
The special brine that I go to for there, and I thought I could email that lady, but then anyway, I didn't. But Fry's actually has a brining kit.
I saw that.
Yeah, and it has, and so I looked at it, and it has a bag, and it tells you how to do it, and the bag is sturdy enough that you can put it in a roaster and put the turkey in the bag, and then the bag holds the water. So I'm gonna try it, and then after you brine it in the salty water, you dump that out, and then you dry rub it and bake it. So that's what I'm doing. But in order to do that, it has to be thawed before you put it in the brine. And that takes umpteen hours. I have to work all day Wednesday. But I figured it out that if it's thawed by Wednesday, I can brine it Wednesday night since we're eating in the evening. Mm-hmm. And it'll brine all the way until I'm ready to put it in the oven. So I'll do that all on Thursday. So I'm like, please be thawed. It has to be thawed. And I'm like, ooh. So I'm stressing over thawing this turkey. What do? I go to Costco. This is stories. I'm doing stories. A little bit of stories. Because it's all about turkey. I go to Costco. And they have tons of very large, like I like, fresh turkeys. And I'm like, I gotta go to fresh turkey. Anyway. Okay. That's for stories. But I hope your turkeys are
in the process of thawing.
On their way to the thawed state. Am I going first?
Yes.
Okay,
sure.
I'm going first. So I've been very monogamous this week. But look at it. Look at it. The sleeves are joined. Here's the little underarm holes you can see right there. They're on scrap yarn. I will graft those later, which I love doing that because if you make sweaters, you know about the underarm holes. So you just get these two lines, you put in straight needles, and you graft it. And it's so nice. So I am now working on the decreases. You can see my little decrease line. I have a up-close photo I'll show you of my decrease line, which goes from here up to all the way up to the neck. And I used to think of it like a baseball shirt. And that's kind of what, how they have baseball shirts where they have the blue sleeve and the gray, whatever. That's how I used to think, but what that really is a raglan. Anyway, well, then I guess in a baseball shirt it's an actual seam, but it's a raglan decrease. So really it from the top of the sweater, it looks like a square. I don't know if you can see how the stripes turn a corner right there. So that's what I'm doing, and as the decreases go up, this is the sleeve. The sleeve stitches disappear up toward the neckline, and the front, when you get to a certain spot, you put the front stitches on a holder here, and then you do some decreases. So you put those on the holder, and then you start, instead of going around and around, you go back and forth, so that the back of the neck is a little bit higher than the front of the collar. And then you join it all and you put the collar on. So that's where I am. I don't know. I have my fancy pattern here. I sent Hannah a picture of this scribble paper. It's my scribble and my other scribble. I sent her a picture of this. I'm like, here's your sweater pattern. And she says, that's great. Then I can make another one. And I'm like, if you could figure out the directions on this crazy piece of paper, you have more smarts than I think. But no, I'm just saying, like, it would be hard. It would be hard pressed for anyone to decipher because it's all out of order. Because I'm just using it as a rule. Okay, when it says just make notes or scribble here, I can't do random scribble, but this is very random scribble. I'm kind of proud of myself. But what I was thinking about doing, so this is a page from this book. I brought it with me today. I've talked about this book ad nauseum. If you're just tuning in, you can go back and see. Maybe I've talked about this for, gosh, probably a year now. Sweater Workshop by Jacqueline Fee. There's not very many copies left. You have to have a used copy. It's not in print anymore. But if you can get hold of one and you like knitting, this helps you knit a sweater without a pattern and using any yarn you please, which is why spinners love it and I love it. And it's great. And it uses a percentage system which was invented by Elizabeth Zimmerman. And it gives you this gauge page. So if I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry. Get your cross stitch out and listen. Anyway, you have this gauge page. You figure out using a swatch what your stitches per inch are, and you then base that for the whole sweater. And it gives you a percentage, for the cuff at the bottom, and a percentage for the neck, and a percentage for the sleeve, and everything. It's great. And then from that, you're off and running. And then you just knit it to the length. You'll knit it to the length you want, both in the sleeve and the body up to the arms. And then you mathematically just decrease until all the sleeve stitches, like I said, they all disappear up at the neckline. And this is what I used to make my dad's sweater last year. Or no, that was earlier this year. Gosh, feels like a long time ago. And I started this, I wrote up here, Hannah sweater 7/22. So I'm kind of proud of myself that I dated it. So I started in July, probably right after I finished Dad's. So I was working on Dad's when we were at her recital in April. And it was shortly after that I finished Dad's sweater. And then I started this one. And it was slow at first because I had other things that I did in between. But I started down here at the bottom cuff and worked the body to the underarm area. And then I made each sleeve, you remember. And then last week I had finished the second sleeve. That's where I was, right? Last Thursday?
Mm-hmm. You had finished the first sleeve.
No, I think I finished the second sleeve. Or I was working on
you were
the
working
second.
on the second sleeve.
So I finished that second sleeve, and then I joined the body in a very large circle. Yeah, because I was talking about how I was worried that the large stripes of the sleeve and the small stripes of the shoulder would look weird. But I think it actually, now that I have it all together and I've done some inches, I think it kind of just looks like a design element.
Yeah, it does. It looks like you did the sleeves deliberately. Yeah.
Yeah, and I realized that then as I get up, and it's not very much knitting. Mm-hmm. Once I put the collar here on hold, then you start to go back and forth a little bit, and then those stripes are also going to be thick, kind of in the back. Uh-huh. So I might look a little funky, but I think that the colors blend well enough that I don't think
the stripes don't really make a difference.
That it's not gonna look weird. I don't think, because I think this looks really nice. This transition from fat stripes to skinny stripes. Mm-hmm. I think it looks it just kind of just blends right in.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't even notice it. I don't know. Maybe you do. It doesn't matter because that's the yarn I have. So that is my project right now. Hannah keeps saying, send it as soon as possible. It's getting cold. It's getting cold. But because I put it, here's a picture of it on the Hannekin. I put it on the Hannekin this morning to see kind of like, you think it fits and you think it looks okay, but it really does. It looks pretty good. I think it fits. It fits Hannekin perfectly. I think it will also fit Hannah perfectly. And she was like, I sent her a picture of it, and because it looks like it has a big giant neckline like this. Uh-huh. And she's like, can you make it a higher neckline? Is it almost done, or do you still do the collar? And I said, she was like, can you make it a high neck? And I said, it's going to be a crew neck. I said, so I showed her so I'm making this long list of check marks right here are the decrease rows. I decided to go ahead and map it out, and I'm glad I did, because and I not only wrote all the decreased rows out, I also wrote the stitch counts in the sleeves for each decreased row here to keep track all the way down to 20. When I reached 20 on the tops of the sleeves, that's when I put the collar sleeves on hold. So I don't want to miss that. I did miss it on my dad's, and I had to kind of backtrack, which is hard to do, and kind of fudged it. And it was bulky yarn, so everything showed. But I'm glad that I did this because one of the things, I think it was Elizabeth Zimmerman used to say was, admire your work. And what she means by that, like as you're doing it, sit back and admire it and see what you're doing. And partially you do that so that you feel accomplished, but also so that you catch mistakes before they get too big. And just this morning, I was going along, and so when you start the decreases after you join, you go 3 rounds of straight, and then you decrease in 3 rounds of straight, and it specifies how many you should do that way so that it doesn't buckle. It keeps it flatter right here. And so it had 3 sections of straight knitting with only 1 row of decrease, and then you go every other row. And so I decided to, before you start all this, you have to count your stitches and make sure your sleeves match and your back and front match. Otherwise, you make a mess. So I did all that. I had to make an adjustment. I think I had to do an extra decrease of just one stitch on, I think, the back or front. I can't remember. So I made that adjustment, and then I decided to write out the stitch counts for every decrease. And I'm really glad I did, because I got through all this, and I got to here, and I'm like, I'm going to admire my work, and I'm just going to double check. Mm-hmm. And I did, and I was 1 stitch off on one sleeve. I had missed a decrease on one side or the other. Because you make a decrease, I have these stitch markers here. And so each stitch marker is at the front corner of the sleeve, and the back sleeve, and then the back and the front. And so when you hit a marker, you make a decrease on the front side, and then you make a decrease on the sleeve side. And then back here, you make a decrease on the sleeve side, and then you make a decrease on the back side. So you're making 2 decreases on each sleeve and 2 decreases on each front and back. And so at one point, I missed one on one of the sleeves, and so I was just 1 stitch off. So so on the next straight round, I was able to just correct it, and I corrected it in the back because I wasn't sure, because that means then I have another decrease row, so there'll be 2 decreases on top of each other, and I didn't want it to look weird on the front, so I did that on the back. But I'm so glad that I stopped to just count, because it's very easy, especially, oh my God.
What did you do? Oh, you pulled the needle out?
So I have these green protectors, and somehow with all of this, I pulled too hard on the needle, and my protector came off, and I dropped.
Yeah, a whole needle's worth.
Yeah. Almost a whole needle's worth.
Well, be very careful.
So, real life problems. Okay, I'm going to get out my tool just so I don't mess up. Hang on. Oh no, I didn't bring my tool back. Okay, but I do have something else here. Hold on. I don't have my tool back, but I do have my needle case, and I'll just get another needle. That will help me. Okay, so anyway, so I was going gangbusters on this until I just dropped all my stitches. So anyway, it's really good to. I'm glad I'm proud of myself that I wrote down the stitch counts, and I stopped to double check. Which means I also lost my stitch marker. Here it is. Okay. I stopped to double check my my counts, because and I think it's really important to every once in a while just Like there are some pattern writers who put stitch counts after every row, and I kind of admire that. I don't always check, but then it's always good to say, okay, where did I get off? And you catch things before they get really bad.
I'll know that feeling.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can't double check every single round because you'll go crazy. But it's really a good tool, and I'm glad it. So what I was thinking about doing with this, hang on, let me try to get these back on the needle. What I was thinking about doing with this piece of paper that I wrote everything down on is make another copy of the gauge page and rewrite it, because actually I had written the wrong gauge and I had to change all the numbers. So rewrite it in a neat way. And I wrote here the yarn type and the needle type and what sweater style, just the basic sweater style. And it says finished weight of garment. And so you can weigh it to see, and that's important also with hand spun yarn. So you can see how many ounces of yarn this garment took. That's a good calculation. And I could also make sure my sleeve diagram is correct, and write out all those decreased rows and everything, so that I can just recreate this exact sweater if I want to. Now, if I'm using a different yarn, it doesn't matter. Everything's changed. But I think I will kind of rewrite this page so it's neater to see in the future and keep good record. And so I'm really proud of myself.
Even if you used a different yarn, would that change like how many stitches are in each thing?
Yeah, because this yarn has this particular weight to it, and so my gauge with these needles is 6 stitches per inch on a number 5 needle. So if I use a fatter yarn, it's going to be less stitches per inch, and if I use a thinner yarn, it'll be more, right?
But if you use the same weight of yarn
and same needles, it would be the same.
Okay.
Basically.
Yeah.
I mean, on any given day, you can...
Like if you made another sweater for Hannah, but used that same weight of yarn, but a different color or whatever.
Right. I could use this exact pattern. Right. And it would come out exactly the same. And I need to also write in there which sleeves we chose, because we chose this fuller... fuller. What is not the fullest full, or the fullest full sleeve, and because there was the fuller and fullest, and then the even fullest. So she didn't want the even fullest, but she wanted the fullest sleeve. So it has that real blousey look to it. So I need to write that down, that's the sleeve we chose. And I did write. Fuller sleeve. Oh, yeah, here it is. Fuller sleeve. Oh, yeah, she did the fuller, not the fullest. Fuller sleeve. Increase at rib every stitch to 96. So I wrote down which sleeve we used and everything. So I kind of want to rewrite this and make it official, put it in a page protector, and keep it as a record. Okay, I saved my stitches. I didn't lose any. Whew, so that was good. So the other things I have to talk about... I did bring this needle kit for a reason, because I need to tighten one of these needles that I'm using. It keeps coming loose. I brought this with me. I showed this, sorry about the crinkle. I showed this one time before when I got my Knit Stars mailing, because this season 7, it just dropped beginning of November, and I've been sporadically watching it. I haven't been watching it as regularly as I'd like, so I've missed a bunch of the lessons, but it doesn't matter. They're mine forever, and I can go back and watch whenever. But one of the lessons that they have is drop spindling, and it's kind of a beginner's guide. But I got the kit for it because I thought, well, that's fun. And I wasn't sure how they were going to incorporate these two yarns. It was a bulky yarn and then fiber. So I watched it this morning. And what she does is these this yarn and this fiber are both dyed by Melanated Boho Bay. I don't know where she's located, but this is a bulky merino yarn, and it's kind of like a grayish purple and white. And then this is merino, I believe. Or no, it's Rambouillet. I believe this is a Rambouillet, and it's also dyed by her. Mine isn't as richly colored as the one that she spun on the video, and it's way more orange than hers was. Hers was way more purple, but that's okay. Anyway, that's what happens with hand-dyed things. So what she does is she guides you through drop spindling and knitting, spinning this bat, and then you use your hand spun in conjunction with this to make a hat. And it's really cute. It's kind of a very rounded hat, like the shape of it is like almost like a little round bowl with a little cuff. So it's bulky yarn, so it'd be like a nice big loose hat, which is, I think, really cute. So anyway, I just wanted to bring this because I got inspired this morning. I'm like, And the reason she uses bulky weight with this is that she's like, most of the time when you spin for the first time, you wind up with bulky yarn. I don't really spin bulky yarn, but I thought, well, maybe I'll try that for fun. And I haven't spun anything in a while. So I this morning I was like, that might be fun. Get out my little wheel and the nice thing about spinning bulky yarn is it goes fast. So I might just do that. And so I brought that to talk about. And then the other thing I brought, because look what came in the mail. It came a little while ago and I didn't open it. It was in Hannah's room. It's the new Block magazine, the Christmas version. It's got some really, really cute stuff. And it has a pattern for a zip travel tote. Very cool. Ooh. It's like a square, it's like a boxy.
I saw the video for that one.
Oh, yeah?
I made one for Mark, I think, or maybe Tim, or both, out of duct tape from that book that I have over here for making stuff like that out of things like that.
Yeah.
You remember it?
Yeah, I remember. I think I remember that. It might have been Tim.
It might have been.
They have some really, looks like wreaths. It's called Octagon Blooms, but it looks like wreaths. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? I'm going to sneeze. But it's really got some pretty things in here. Of course it does. It is, there's a sew along, part 5. I haven't done the sew along. I haven't done a sew along ever. That one's pretty. Into the Woods.
Wouldn't that be more
really
like what I do and have a book go in for a start along?
A start along. A never finish along. Look at this. It's like a Into the Woods. That's really
they had that last year for Christmas, the Into the Woods with the different color trees. Oh no, that's a different version of it. Last year's I think was reds and blacks. It was beautiful.
It's really pretty. Oh, it has a whole article on sewing feet. That's nice.
I might want to read that.
And then a table runner. I guess it's Thanksgiving table runner in blacks and whites. It's so pretty. That's really pretty. Like that. And it does have a festive tree wall hanging, which looks really cute. Let me see if I can find that. And the thing I love about, and the reason I pay for this book is because there's no ads in it. And it is just their production. And I love that and I admire it. Turkeys! Turkey trot. Oh, here's the wall hanging. That is really cute. This reminds me of that fabric you bought, Eve. That random Christmas fabric you got from Walmart. Look at that. Look,
yeah, it's over there. Right there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That would look so cute in that wall hanging. That's pretty. If I had a blank space on my walls. My walls are all stuffed.
If I had walls.
Well, you have walls. Your house isn't falling down.
They're
This
all
one's
covered
pretty.
with something.
Quilt As You Go Octagon 9 patch. That's really nice. I like that a lot. This is cool. So this is the Christmas 2022 version. That's so nice. So that's me, I think. I don't think I brought anything else to talk about. I do have some stories, but I am going to be decreasing my little heart away over here.
I want to go next, Beth, so that I can
Yeah,
get this
go
off
ahead.
of here. Okay, so right now, I'm going to put here, Naomi,
Yes.
a picture of this finished. I finished the scarecrow berry for the autumn berries, but I already sewed it.
Yeah.
And stuffed it, and I'm making tops for them right now. And back here, the little banner was supposed to go where it meets, and then you sew right up through that. I couldn't bring myself to sew through that stitching. I
don't blame
attempted
you.
a couple of times, but I was just like, you know what, I'm good with that.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you.
You
I worked
can't
so
see
hard
here,
on
but-
that stitching.
Well, no, I was like, I'm afraid if the needle goes through there,
Snags it.
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
I was like, I don't want to do that. So I have them all here ready for tops. And I'm making tops right now. And right now I'm making the top for this one, Pick of the Patch.
So
Okay,
they
let's
have,
see that.
they have, do you put something in the bottom before the lizard litter? Or just lizard
I
litter?
put the lizard litter. They're on the, I think Erica Michaels in the instructions and in her classes tells you to fill the bottom with a little bit of yarn, and then I think stuff it with just stuffing. But Vonna Pfeiffer says to put lizard litter, which is what I was doing this morning, and then stuffing on top. And
What's that made out of? Is
Huh?
it shells?
Crushed,
or-
it's crushed walnut shells.
Come home.
Oh.
So what I'm trying to do
So
is
Danny Allen,
so
wherever
I
you
was
are.
putting some leaves on here.
Ooh, that's
And
pretty.
I just looked
Did you
at
cut
it.
those out freehand or?
Yeah.
Nice.
I did the first one with
Oh,
I
those are
used
pretty.
the freezer paper and cut it out, and I was like, I can just cut that out. So I did the second one just cutting it out. But after I got this two sewn on here, I'm like, maybe it needs a third one right here. And I don't have a third one cut out. And then I'm going to put this little circle on top, and then I'm going to try to make a pumpkin. We'll see if that'll work.
In my opinion, if you want my opinion,
I don't.
I would. Okay.
But
No, I was thinking that a third one would look less like feet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it
Because
looks
it
like,
looks a little bit like dinosaur.
like dinosaur footprints.
well, I have the stuff here so that I can do that if I
You
want
could put
to.
a little dinosaur on top. I think it'd be cute.
Not exactly what I'm aiming for. Though.
Well, that's why I
Okay,
thought I'd
so,
offer my opinion.
I wanted to go next so I could get all this stuff
Okay.
off here so I have a little room. So I bought the fabric for doing the border on this. I forgot to put this inner border on.
Oh.
So I was measuring around it for how many cuts I would need to make a 5-inch border with this. And I was like, something is wrong. Something is very wrong. And then I went, oh, it needs the inner border.
Oh, and then measure.
Right. So while I was measuring, after I folded it and I was getting ready to sew on the inner border, I realized that in one of the places where I had this sashing next to a cat, that it was not sewn together. like on one side where I was sewing, it looked like it was right, but on the other side it had slipped. So it had like this big gap like that.
Oh no.
I was like, how did I not notice that before?
Oh wow.
So I fixed that. It was an easy fix. It was just one side slipped. But I fixed that and put the border on. And then I started thinking about, how I wanted to do the other stuff in the border. And I just kept looking at this fabric next to that gray while I was doing it. And I said, you know what? I think I'm just going to put just this and nothing else.
Yeah, I think it'll look good.
I think the other would look good too, but I really like that.
Do you have a knitting calculator? I mean, a quilting calculator app? Do you have that app?
I just have the instructions on Jordan Fabrics, and it was really easy.
No, because I'm just saying, there's a app called Fiber Arts Quilting Calc by Robert Kaufman.
Oh.
And
for knowing how much border you need.
Yeah, so it tells you like binding, how much binding you need, or border yardage. So you go to border yardage, you say width of fabric, and okay, so the width of your fabric for your border is 43 inches. You tell it that, and then dimensions of the quilt in inches, width and length, and the border inches you want it to be 2.5 or 5 inches or whatever. So you put that in, and it calculates it, and it tells you how many strips to cut of your 43-inch fabric.
Cool.
Yeah, quilting calc. I'll show you.
So, if you notice, I'm making faces, and it's not that I mind what Naomi's talking about. I'm having trouble turning to the right, my neck, and it's because I had a cortisone shot in my right shoulder, and I have an incredibly bad headache, and my neck hurts. So, the shoulder feels better. So
it's like those commercials for pills that they say, oh, they're good for this and this, but there's all these side effects.
Yeah.
Like,
so
is it really worth it?
Well, I know it's going to be a couple of days until all of this goes away, and that's okay. That's why I'm doing this instead of stitching, because I was trying to stitch yesterday and a little bit, and I could not make myself do anything. I felt so awful. Okay, so I did work on the Nativity Berry, kindly given to us by a viewer. And as I was stitching the blue, I had on the baby, I had the 3 well, it's actually only 2 colors, but 3 rows for the little halos. I had the babies in there too. But as I was stitching the blue, I realized that the baby was over 1 stitch this way. And I thought about just fudging it, but I realized that then it would knock off everything else. So I went ahead and took it out. And it wasn't that big a deal. It's not that many stitches. And I was trying to stitch on this, and I couldn't do it. So I wanted to. I did. So for WIP-GO, I completed the 15 days on my Christmas lantern. And this is how far I am. And
Wow.
what I did was I just outlined where this was going to go, so that later I can just fill it in.
Fill it in. Nice.
And I started outlining this because I just have to fill it with white.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go too far down because I don't want to count that. So I'll just do it a little bit further, at least up to here next time I pick it up. And then I'll get the rest of the flowers put in, and it'll be easier for me to count.
Right.
So there's a little bit more up here.
The little handle.
And this little grate thing.
Yeah.
There's this little grate thing,
Yeah.
and then, the top. And
That's nice.
I think it's going to be beautiful. I love it. I was enjoying working on it. I do not, however, enjoy working on this fabric. I like the way it looks, so I'm not sorry I chose this fabric, but it's very loose, the holes, so it's really easy to get the thread in the wrong place. And the white, once you stitch the back, you know, going the other way, you can see it. Mm-hmm. But when you're going this way, you can't tell where you've stitched or where you haven't. So, oh, and when I was doing this top part right up here, I was like, why is it not working? Why is it not coming and meeting where it should? I was like, it's off by like 2 stitches. So what it was this first row of this darker brown that I did, or going this way, I hadn't gone this way far enough. Mm-hmm. And I counted it. When I did it, I counted it and counted it. And so when I was trying to fix it, I counted 10 and put a little thread, and counted 10 and put a little thread to make sure I was going far enough. And that's sure enough, that's where it was. So I didn't have to take out too much. I just took out a little bit, like right here, and then fudged this here, because I just cut the thread and put it over there, you know. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't that big deal, but I mean, it wasn't a lot of unstitching, just maybe a little bit here on this side, and that's it. So that kind of held me up a little bit, counting and counting and counting and more counting.
Admire your work.
Yes. And then
oh, I was wondering if you figured out the snowflake problem on that blue one.
Well, talk about that one in a minute.
Oh, sorry.
I will talk about it, but not just yet. Okay, so the other WIP-GO call was for cute boots. There it is. And it doesn't look like I've done a lot since last time, but I have. This pattern... Oh, he's adorable. This pattern, I've almost finished putting in the face. I just have one more color on the... Excuse me. I just have one more color on the face. Oh, here's the pattern.
So adorable.
Oh, I forgot to say that Christmas lantern is by Twin Peak Primitives. And this is designed by Joe Gattenby for X's and O's. And I thought, all this time, I thought he was carrying an umbrella, and he is not.
He's just playing?
He's just playing in the water.
With his wings up like this.
Yeah, he's just dancing, and he's playing in the rain. Cute. And when we were kids, we lived on the top of a hill, and it was like 2 houses down to the bottom of the hill. It's not a big hill. Well, on the other side it was. But the water would pool right there because of the way it had been structured. Every time it rained, it made these beautiful puddles. Man, I love playing in that.
Yeah, me too.
And
especially in the summer when the water was almost hot.
Yeah. And you'd go and splash real hard and make it go, and that's what it looks like he's doing. Yeah. You know. So and
except I never wore boots. I wear flip flops.
Well, yeah, we didn't really have boots. I like what it says, you know, but more than that, I just love the picture. And so when I bought the pattern, this is the first, when I started it, and it was the first time I'd worked on even weave, so it was slow going for me at first. And then also it has the kind of pattern where, because they want the face to look dimensional, it's got 3 stitches here and 2 stitches there, and I mean, it is impossible. I did a working copy that I keep with me, but it is so hard to keep track of where I'm going. And so it looks like I haven't done anything, but I have. And it's just you have to change threads a lot.
Yeah.
So I just have just a tiny bit more on this upper face, and then I want to start on his hat with the little blues on his hat. I really don't want to go down to more yellow yet. That being said, one of the things that took me the longest was tracking down all the threads.
Yeah.
I had most of them, but not all of them still with this because I hadn't worked on it in a minute and, snatched them out for other projects. And so I was like, okay, which project is that in? No, it's not there. No, it's not there. Thread Stash is not telling me that it's not in any project. Well, I know I had it. So where is it? So, and then this. So this is Snowflake Ornaments by Cross Stitching for Fun. And I am working on the deer. And I've gotten to the point where it's either just go with it or throw it away.
Oh no.
Because, and I don't know if it's because I'm having trouble with 25 count or with my usual thing of just not being able to count.
The snowflake looks better.
Yeah, I finished the snowflake. So when I'm starting to put this other antler in, I'm sorry, you start at one side of the, I'm putting in this part over here. No, I'm looking backwards here. This part over here, I already did this part. Putting in this over here, and it is off by, I don't know if it's half a stitch, 1.5 stitches. I don't know what it's off, but it's off. And I thought, you know what? None of these are really touching each other.
Yeah.
And you can kind of tell that it's off, but in the long run, it's going to be finished and put somewhere, and nobody's going to come up and go,
that antler is
those
awful.
stitches are just off. Some of the stitches are also wonky, and I don't know why, because when I go back and look at it, they're in the correct holes, but they just don't look right. So I think I'm just going to bite the bullet and go with it.
Yeah.
But I love the way that is looking on this. And by the way, I thought this gold thread would be easier than Kreinik.
No. Can I see it up close?
It is not. It's thinner, kind of, but not easier.
It's very stiff.
Yeah.
I hated it working with it. I hated working with every second out of it. And I might take it out and put in, I don't know, maybe just gold thread.
It looks pretty, but
You can use it.
you're missing. I think you're missing a stitch of it too.
Well, it started to come out.
Because there's 2 here and there's only 1 there.
Maybe.
And 2 and 2. So I'm just right there. Sorry. Not to be the bearer of frustrating news.
I had done that. I had done and redone that row,
Oh.
and so I probably
Just forgot it.
didn't put it back in. The thread was fraying. By the time I finished to
that's bad.
tuck it, the fray was this long.
Oh,
I couldn't thread it.
Yeah, that's.
and-
Yeah.
So it is pretty. It looks nice. I don't know that I want to work with it enough to put it in all of the things. So I might have to just take it out. I'm seriously considering that. I would rather work with just about anything at this point. And I can't remember. It might be a DMC. I don't know,
Like
but
that-
not their regular
That metallic.
Not their regular metallics. It's in a roll,
spool?
a spool.
Yeah. Diamante or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
don't like
Yeah,
it.
I've got a couple of.
Don't like it.
I got some of that, and I have never.
What might look good is their satin. I don't think Etoile is sparkly enough for what the purpose of that is. But the satin, while it's hard to work with, you can just use one thread instead of two, and it lays flat. So I might do that. Or just, we're going to the attic later. Maybe I'll get some Kreinik. So I have to think about that with some serious thoughts.
Serious.
Oh, God. And lastly, because I finished my autumn berries, I have my winter berries here. And
You see them. I don't remember them.
The sheep and the cardinal one.
Oh, yeah.
so I cut out the fabrics. Just like the nativity berry, I am going to use this 16 count Ada by Fabric Flair. And I'm going to use 32 count Lugana in Stormy Clouds. And I'm going to use 32 count Spa Murana Queré. This one. Don't ask me which one I'm using for which. Probably the Stormy Clouds for the one that's white in the picture. That's upside down. For the one that's white in the picture. Probably the Spa for the one that's blue. I looked, when I was at the attic last time, I looked for a bluer blue than this Spa. The Spa is a bit of a browner blue. But I didn't see anything I liked. But maybe they will have gotten in different fabrics. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll just go with what I have. Who knows? So, that gives me more space to spread out all of my supplies. So that, as they say, is all for right now.
That is that.
Okay.
You're up, Biff.
I am up.
Don't put a thread. Just go with it.
I was just doing it. I just had to anchor that because I was going to drop it otherwise. So, last week when I was blind pew, I was making scissor fobs and I finished them. So this one is
That's
the peppermint charm, and it's just got red and white little crystal beads and green jingle bells. What jingles?
Let me see. Oh, that's annoying.
Yeah.
But that's cute, though. It's not annoying. It's cute.
And then this one, I think I said last week when I was looking at that this kitty is in a stocking, but it's actually in a sweater. I think this kitty's wearing a sweater.
Let me see.
And this one is
Also has jingles.
Yeah, it has jingle bells, and it's got a big gold bead in the middle.
That's cute.
And
that's really cute, Beth.
and some little green stars.
Yeah.
And these
Squares.
red, white, and green squares. Yeah.
That's really pretty.
So yeah.
I mean, Mexican flag or Christmas.
Or an Italian flag.
Or an Italian flag. We represent all nationalities.
So, I was also working on the nativity berry. I just did like last night and late last night for a few hours, and one other day, Sunday or something, and no, I don't know, Monday or Tuesday, but so I made a little more progress, and I'm doing this 1/1 on 25 count Lugana. So it's coming out very tiny.
That's neat.
But I started working on the manger and the stable. I didn't do the faces, or I was gonna do Joseph's beard. And then I realized they're DMC numbers, and I never got around to pulling the DMC threads. Because I thought, oh, I have those. I'll get them eventually. And then I just didn't put them together with the string. So I just had I fancy floss.
I decided
there.
on the browner one.
So I haven't done anything on those, but I did do. There was a second color in their little halos there, and I did that, and then I did Mary's robe, and you can't really see it until I get some of the other stuff in there because it's almost the same shade as this background fabric. But I did the little sheep. I think I had done those last week. So I did the manger and I started on the stable.
That's cute.
So I made some progress on that just for a couple of days work.
Close enough. Okay.
And then I did one day, on Veterans Day, I worked on this pattern that I did for my dad. I had done just the top of it, and then trimmed the corner here. And so I just worked my way down the rest of this side of the border and turned the corner down the bottom. So, and this is 1/2 on this. This is from Hobby Lobby. This embroidery fabric they have. I think it's like 40 count or something. So I worked on that, and that's the pattern. Except I did put more fish in the river here. So this represents my dad's family, and this is us kids. And I realized my mom isn't on here.
Oh.
So maybe I'll modify it again. And then my first WIP-GO project was this on the balcony that Eve designed from a photograph. And I meant to see if I could find that photograph and like
well, if you find
print
it
off. But I do have, I can have
send it to me digitally, and
I have the picture we can insert that this was based on. And so I worked on that and met the goal. I did my 10 days on it. And it's under the hoop here. You can't see quite, but this is the table that the cat is sitting on. And I
see if I did it well.
I started to do it, but I haven't finished it yet because it's just a block of back and forth of this gray color. But I did it because I had the gray out for this little space in front on his tail, because it's the tabletop that you can see between where he has his tail curled around. And I didn't want to, I was working on the black of the cat, and I didn't want to accidentally run over, and forget that I had to put this gray in there. So I did the gray, and since I had the gray out, I worked on the part of this block of gray.
It's so funny when you take pictures of black cats, you really can't see anything but a blob.
Yeah, a void. It's a void. The void. But I did do this whole quadrant over here of the pattern. So the post is on this area is complete, and the balcony railing is complete on this side. So yeah, and I did do some of the balcony railing on this side, and I did a little bit over here just randomly, this random line, because I had that color of thread out to finish this, and so to use up that piece of thread, I did this. But yeah, so that's 10 days on that. And I don't know when I will get back to it. But my other WIP-GO pull is this Daily Walk in the Woods by Carol Manning. And this is 2/1 on, I think it's 18 count Aida. And this is the one that I realized at some point that I had oriented wrong on the fabric. It's supposed to go this way, and I did it this way. But oh well. But so I'm working on this tree here, and I'm actually almost done. I have a few more rows to complete it, and then I have the colors for. There's a little tiny tree over here. It's just like a few blocks of like maybe 6 blocks. Yeah, 6 blocks of green and 4 blocks of red, and then the single backstitch line for the trunk. Just a little tiny tree that goes right here. because this one I have not sat down and like pulled all the threads for it because they're all DMC threads. But I had a handful of them that were in the project that I had set aside, and so the 3 colors I have are for this this little tiny tree that goes right here, and then this one color I had was for this tree here. So and then I have to like find, because the thread list for this design is like a billion miles long. But so I did a center start on this, so the edge on this side is not far. I think I'm at the edge. Yeah. There's like one big tree and one smaller tree, and I'll be done with this side. So my focus is going to be to go this way to the edge, and then maybe if I have time to go continue down. So so I can finish this side, go toward finishing this side of the pattern. So, and then I have a whole other side over here to do. And I don't know that this is all the way to the bottom. I have like, a billion pages of the PDF, printout for this. I have a lot to do on that. But I just got started on that today, because the on the balcony was yesterday. I mean, yeah, up until yesterday. So, and we're going to be. I had ordered from embroidery.com some thread that I had been looking for and had not been able to find. So I have thistle from Week Starworks thistle, and then these colors from Gentle Arts, and I wanted 3 skeins of this antique rose for a cottage garden samplings pattern that I have that calls for. I don't know that it would take all 3 skeins. I don't know, but that's basically what the on the pattern it says. There a couple of them. I have several of them. I have some that are from last year that are like holiday things, like there's a Christmas one and a Thanksgiving one and a few other ones. Summer. I think it's the seasons. So I don't know how many of them there are in that series, but I think this is from the Christmas one, and it calls for a lot of this thread because of all the reds in the pattern. But then this shaker white, and this one I ordered Brethren Blue just because I know for a while it was really hard to find, and everybody wanted it for some. I don't know if it was in some pattern, but it's such a gorgeous color that I went in and got it. And then this shaker white is in that Nativity Berry. So I got that. And I realized the other night when I was, I spent one day, yesterday, the day before yesterday, I spent a lot of time going through all my fancy floss, because I have some of it like this, and just like loose in a bag somewhere that I, stuff that I bought at the attic and everything. And I had never put them with the projects or put them in my boxes of fancy floss. So I went through and I put them all in my Stitch, the app, the Thread Stash app, and so I wanted to make sure that I had all my newest acquisitions, and I didn't put these in there, in my fancy floss list, so that I know, because half the time I'm like, I don't know if I have this one, so I'm just gonna go ahead and buy it, And then when I was going through it, I had like, 3 skeins of this and 2 skeins of that, because I had bought it for a pattern and I already had it. So I went ahead and even though the Thread Stash app is not, for some reason, is not available on my phone. My phone is an Android phone, but it's an LG, and for whatever reason, at least last time I looked, I couldn't get that app on my phone.
So you have to use it on your iPad or what?
Yeah, I have it on my tablet. On my Samsung, my tablet is a Samsung, but it's not available for my LG phone. So if I like have it on there, I can't just pull it up on my phone when I'm at the store, like at the attic or whatever, to see what I have and what I need.
I see.
So I have to like just make a list of my notes.
You plan ahead
on my phone. Yeah, but like so if I know specifically I need to get these threads for this pattern at this, when I go to the attic, for instance, then I have a little place in my phone where I've written down what I need, and if I'm able to find it, I erase it off my phone so that I know I already got it. But yeah, so and if I buy a pattern at the attic, I try to get the fancy floss on the back.
Well, and then you wish you had it because you would know whether or not
yes,
you had it
yeah.
at home.
Then I wish I had it because then I already know. Well, some of them I recognize the name of, like, oh yes, I know I have that, and so I don't have to buy it. But other times I'm like, do I have that? Oh, I don't know. And so yeah. So I'm hoping at some point.
That's weird. You'd think they would be available
Yeah, especially because it's an Android. You know.
Yeah.
And
I should check again.
Yeah. So I have to. Yeah. And so yeah. But anyway, I spent a lot of time sort of reorganizing my fancy floss and all that, but. I realized that some of what I bought is like this shaker white. It's for a specific pattern, for that nativity berry pattern, and it's some of these colors are in my fancy floss box now, and I didn't set it aside for my nativity berry. So, but I think that's everything I have.
So,
and I've got a knot in my thread.
Since I have a very funny story.
Yes.
Well, it's sad. So.
It's not sad.
It's sad because I felt, it's still going on and I felt so bad. But Beth and I bought some groceries the other day. Not too much, but it was a lot of fussily stuff. And plus we had gotten some fast food on the way home, and Beth was bringing that in, and I was bringing in the groceries. And so Beth stopped and propped the garage door open as soon as I had my dog locked up so she couldn't go outside. And I almost told her I never blocked that door open. I thought, you know what? It's fine.
Yeah, especially because both of us are making,
a
few trips, yeah.
So at some point, while we were doing that, a big giant fly came in the house. And, I mean, this thing might have been able to be classified as a buzzard. And
low-flying aircraft.
Yeah. So, my dog doesn't like flies. And before Dad passed away, when there was a fly, she would run and hide in his room. But that door's been closed. I only open it once in a while. It's freezing in there. I only open it once in a while when I'm going in and out getting stuff. And
but the reason she would hide.
The reason she would hide is because she doesn't like the fly, because my dad, I think this is why, my dad would try to kill it, and so there's a lot of banging going on. And I think she associates those with loud banging noises, which she has never liked. However, when she realized there was a fly, she went and tried to hide over there by Dad's door. We finally encouraged her to come back out. Beth was...
Well, you know, when I was, we were watching a TV while we were eating lunch. And so the dog, ordinarily while we're eating, she's like at your feet, you know, hoping that you're going to drop something so she can, you know, eat it. But instead, you know, I saw this behavior that I had never seen before. She was like getting up in my face, but not really trying to get my food. She was just like huddling up against me like this. And I'm like, she's stepping all over me.
She vibrates.
And yeah, I noticed when I went to pet her, she was like just trembling.
And her little ears were flat and you know, and I'm like, she's afraid of the fly.
Oh my gosh.
So I said, just cover her face with the blanket and she'll start to calm down. And we left her like that for a while. But then maybe we finished eating and I encouraged her to come and sit by me and I tried to cover her, but I guess I got up to go to the bathroom. I don't know. I couldn't find the dog.
Well, at one point she went over there by Robert's door and she was hiding in the little, you know, it's like, what is she doing over there?
And so
poor baby.
She was traumatized.
So then I lost track of her. I couldn't find her anywhere. She wouldn't sit by me. And she is always on top of me. If I sit down, she's on top of me. And she wouldn't come near me. She wouldn't come when I called, which is very unusual. And so I went hunting for her. And I found her by the back door, just huddling by the garage door like this. And I was like, come on. And I picked her up. She wouldn't come. I'm trying to I had to pick her up and lift her and take her over back to where we were sitting. And then later, after Beth had left, I couldn't find her again. And I was like, ugh. So I went and I thought she would be on my bed. And she wasn't there. I was like, where's this dog? She was in the closet on the floor, just trying to make herself really small. And again, her little ears were all flat, not back, flat.
Yeah.
and I finally had to keep my bedroom door shut. She did it again, but was on my bed so that she wouldn't go in there. I don't mind her being in my room. She's in my room all the time. But as we have seen on this show, she is a naughty dog. And there's a lot of things in there that I don't want her to even try to eat. And so I shut the door. And she has been tolerating being out in the other room as long as she can't see anything and the fly can't get near her. But if she sees it buzzing around or it gets near her, she takes off and she is hiding. And I'm like,
it might be good
God.
to invest, especially with, you know, next summer, like a buzzer. I mean, a zapper of some kind.
Yeah, I've been really careful not to make loud noises or anything. If I see the fly, I just try to ignore it. Mm-hmm. It will die, you know. Yeah. So I'm not too concerned about anything. My dad was a bug magnet, by the way.
What does that mean?
If we walked through a field, chiggers and mosquitoes and whatever, if we were...
He was sweet, that's why.
If we were... if he was fishing, every bug on the river wanted to bite him. So if he was sitting at the dining table trying to eat, whatever fly or anything came in, it wanted to be on him. And so that's one of the reasons.
Swatter.
Huh?
He would get out that fly swatter.
He'd get out the fly swatter and start swatting away. And I think that she just associates that banging sound with the fly being in here. Hopefully she'll calm down. I don't want her to, I don't want to negate her fears, but I also don't want to
make it worse. So Robert and I were joking last night about that, heaven help us if an intruder came in with a fly, because then the dog would let the intruder kill us and while she was hiding with the fly.
Poor doggy.
Yeah, she has a trauma.
We've traumatized our dog with a fly.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it's funny, and yet it's not funny because she was so scared.
So scared.
And you can tell by the fact that, I mean, like I said, she's vibrating. She's so scared.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't get scared by much, but man.
Well, my cats are so funny. They're scared of shoes, of new shoes. If you have a new pair of shoes or a loud pair of shoes, someone's in the house. I mean, it could be you. They know for years, but especially Hobbs. But also, apparently, the front door is now a thing. If the doorbell rings, shoo, cats.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever, even Calvin, who's usually more reasonable. And now, even if we are walking and we go and we unlock and open the front door, shoo! Because and like why are you guys so scared? They've never been hurt. It's like that.
They
Paul
may
Simon
associate
song.
it with people
Never been,
coming in.
What is it? Never been lonely. Never been lied to. Never had to scuffle in fear. Like, you guys have the cushiest lives on earth. I don't know what you're so scared of. But so, do you remember a while ago I told you that? Well, Hobbs was on the fridge and jumped down. We didn't know he was up there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then while we were filming, right, he jumped and tried to get up at the top and used this like magnet pen holder that we have as footing, I guess, and knocked it down. That was what we were filming a few weeks ago. And then the other day I was walking in the kitchen. And all of a sudden, scramble! And he comes out of the corner because that corner of the countertop is pretty much, it's not really used because it's inconvenient. So it kind of gathers things. And we have a snack bowl. We just put all our like handy snacks in. And I guess I don't know what he was doing, but when he saw me come in, I guess he was like, I'm not supposed to be here. And he went and like top of the bowl and took off. Fortunately, nothing broke. But we did have a breakage, and we think it was either a cat or it was a ghost, or somehow seismically the earth shifted. Mark and Eli was laying on the couch, and he had a couple of dishes on a TV tray by him, which is what I initially thought it was. And Mark and I were in the kitchen, because so Eli inherited a beautiful professional size KitchenAid from a friend of mine, which is a long story of why she gave it to us, but she did. And he had it at his apartment. And now that he's home, I'm like, I want to put that in my kitchen now. So Mark and I were rearranging the whole kitchen. And we were in there working. And all of a sudden, we hear splat, just like crash. The unmistakable sound of in our house is very common, of something glass hitting the. She's just on the couch.
Yeah, I just wanted to know what she was eating on the couch. I think it's her toenails.
I think it is her feet. Yeah, she's licking her feet. Sorry. With the unmistakable sound that's very common in my house of glass shattering on tile. Even with carpet, we have a carpet in
Here
our
too.
living room, but it was.
Don't you hate the way glass goes? Like, if your house is a mile long, it'll hit a door.
Yes. So, so my initial thought was that Eli had dropped, because he had a glass on his tray that had fallen. Things happen. And then he goes, "Oh, the cats did that," or something. The cat, and he goes, "Oh, there goes the lamp," or something like that. And I was like, "What?" And I turn around. So in our living room, we have a weird living room in that there's no walls on which to put against which to put a couch. So our couches are in the middle of the living room. And on one side's the kitchen. Here's the dining room, and
You
then
mean that one right there?
Well, that, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you have the couches on the wall there,
Yeah.
right? Normally you have at least one of your couches on a wall, right? And you can put a lamp there with a light and because there's a plug. So, and then the other wall of our living room is basically a fireplace and windows. So there's nowhere to put the couch, like, tucked up against a wall.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could have a plug and you could put a lamp. So our whole living room is in the middle of the floor. Then we have an overhead light and we have some lights against the walls. But for knitting and things like that, I like to have a light right on me. So my husband, being the prepper that he is, he has portable batteries. And he has a little battery, it's called a Jackery. And you charge it up and then it can power like a small refrigerator. It's really great. And it lasts a long time. So what he did was we put that Jackery in a little end table next to my recliner, and we put a lamp there with a light that hangs down, and that's what I use. And it also, the light that goes up provides light in the living room. So that sits between my recliner and the couch next to this table, right? And somehow that lamp went between the recliner and the couch, bam, and the whole the bowl that was on top just shattered in the carpet, which makes it sometimes even harder because you would think that it wouldn't fly, but it did. And and you think, it's contained, because it was like in the carpet. It was hard. But Eli didn't see it happen, so we don't really know. And the cats were kind of just chilling, so I don't know if they were fighting and or trying to shove their way between, because they do, between the couch and the chair, and then took the lamp with them or what. But we didn't see them like scrambling away in fear the way cats do when they do something stupid. But that's the only assumption we have. Or maybe, like I said, sometimes the earth just shifts and things fall. But I don't think that's what happened. So that was like, and then so now I have no stitching light there by my chair. I've been using my little neck light, and then and he had just gotten a new torche for the other wall. So, but that one doesn't have a one that hangs down.
Yeah.
And he found one online, and he was going to order it, and then he showed it to me, and I said, "Oh, I like that. It's very modern looking."
Does it look like a pumpkin?
Yeah, it kind of does.
Yeah.
It's cute. Is it a bead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's neat. This one was very modern looking. It had a light that you could kind of bend around like that, and then it had a small lamp like this. And I was like, yeah, I like it. It's kind of modern. Doesn't really quite go with everything else, but I like it. And then a few days went by, and I didn't think about it. And I was like, Mark, did you ever order that lamp? And he goes, no, I didn't. And so he was looking at it again. And then another day or two goes by, and he goes, I decided not to order that because when I looked at it, it's only 5 feet tall. And I'm like, that's as tall as me. What kind of stupid light is that? So anyway.
Look at light. I got my light at Target. That has a torch and a
and a little down
spotlight.
thing. Yeah, we need to go look. But anyway, so I have no lamp. And the other weird thing that happened to me, I think it was last Saturday, a week ago. It's been very cold, as we talked about last week. For us, I know it's like 10 feet of snow in Buffalo.
But it's been like in the 40s.
I know Buffalo, New York is like
it's
dying
shut down
right now. It's shut down, and I'm so sorry. So if you're all over there, I'm sorry. I know this isn't cold, but for us, it's cold. And so, I mean, cold enough to, like, I have flannel jammies. I like to wear like a t-shirt, like a comfy shirt, and then I put the flannel jammy top like a jacket, and so I go to sleep like that because I'm cold. But in the middle of the night, because it's Phoenix, I set up and I'm like, I'm hot, and I took the flannel shirt off and tossed it the way you do. Didn't think anything of it, and then halfway through the day, I'm sitting in my chair and I'm knitting, and I don't know what made me think of it. I thought, I don't know, maybe I wanted to put on lotion or whatever, but I just looked down and there's no wedding ring. And I'm like, where's my ring? and it scared me because on Friday, so this was Saturday, midday, right? I was just home knitting, hanging out. On Friday, I was at work from 9 to 9. And at some point on Friday at work, not at the show at night, but during the day, I had gone to the bathroom and washed my hands. And when this has like a basket under the stones. So it holds water in there sometimes. And so I had it off because I was kind of like drying my finger and kind of like, trying to get the water out of it. And I put it on my thumb like that, and I put it past the knuckle, and then I couldn't get it off for a few seconds. And I was like, "Urgh." And I was like, my wedding ring stuck. So my coworker remembered me saying this, and this was on Friday.
Uh-huh.
So on Saturday, but I remember getting it off and putting it back on. So, but on Saturday, when it suddenly wasn't on my hand, I was like, did I leave it at work? Did I drop it when I was messing with it? Like, because I never take it off, The only time I take it off is when I shower. And I had showered Friday morning, so I knew I had it at work on Friday because I messed with it and got stuck on my thumb. So I'm like, okay. And this was Saturday midday, and I'm like, where is it? Where could it be? Where could it be? So I went in, and I'm like, I took off the shirt in the middle of the night. It must have come off then. And so I start looking through my bed, and we tear the bed apart, and Mark can't find it. And I'm like, oh, it's got to be here somewhere. It's got to be here somewhere. So I go back into my room again, and I start taking everything off the bed, like one at a time. And then I look down, and in my husband's shoe, there's my ring. And I was like, oh my gosh. And he's like, maybe you need to get it resized if it comes off so easily. I'm like, well, I don't want it like stuck on there. And I have a groove. I have a wedding ring groove. But it is a little bit loose. I don't know if I know I've been losing a little bit of weight.
Episode of I Love Lucy or Dick Van Dyke or something that was losing their wedding ring.
It was scary.
Mom lost her ring.
Yeah, it's scary. And but it's funny because this ring, after I first got it, now I've had it a while now. I can't remember how long. I feel like it's brand new, but I've had it for a few years. And when I first had it, I was at work. So this was just to been back in 2015 because I used to work. It was when I was at the symphony in the beginning. I need to look and see how long I've had this ring because I think it's only been a couple of years, but now I'm thinking it's been a really long time.
It's been a while.
Yeah. So because the reason there's a question is my original wedding ring lost a diamond. It had a center stone sapphire, and it lost one of the diamonds, and the sapphire actually was cracked. So we were looking at, do we fix it? Do we take the stones out of it and put it in a new setting, or what? And then we finally decided to put it away for safekeeping. And my wedding ring had sapphires in it as well. So we and they were fused together. And so I decided to put it away for safekeeping, and my husband bought me this. I don't remember what year that was. That's why I'm questioning. But anyway, I had this ring not very long, and I remember, and I was trying to think about the other day, it got stuck, my hand got caught in something, and it hit my ring. It was, whatever my hand was stuck in, actually was stuck on my ring for a second. So I think that's what did it. But one day I was sitting at work, and I looked down, and I was missing a sapphire out of this new ring. And I'm like, oh my God, how because there's no way you're going to find a sapphire, like a little stone. And I was so upset and so upset and so upset. And when I go home, I walked in and I was like, well, or maybe, no, I wasn't at work. That's right, I'm lying to you. I was at home and I noticed it was gone. And what I had done right before that was I had taken a nap. And I went in to my bed and I pulled the covers back and there was the stone. So my bed is the magical place where all jewelry gets lost. But so I was able to take the stone, take the ring, and they fixed it. That's right. I was at work telling I remember the conversation telling the story at work. But to my coworker, who is now my boss, many years later. but you can see you can see a little spot of, if you look real closely, of like where they put a little bit of extra metal to hold the stone in that had fallen out. But it was so scary. I'm like, I don't want to lose my ring. It was weird. Like, I don't know, you just, like, you take things for granted, like, but it has been, something looking forward to this week. All of a sudden, the other day, my husband gets an email that he works for a foundation, and they said that all the employees get a preview ticket to this thing called Enchant, and it's made by the Hallmark Channel, which makes you ultimately cautious. But what it is a walk-through light, fantasy land, and it has, like, I guess, like, food and shops, and it's like, you can do ice skating, and it's like one of those drive-through ones, but it's a walk-through, and it's in Scottsdale. I guess there are, like, I don't know, I was looking, there's like 8 of them around the country: Las Vegas, Washington D.C., Seattle, I think, and one in Scottsdale. And so they his office got tickets to go to a preview night, so it's not with the general public, so it's like by invite only, whatever. I'm like, oh, that's something fun. But it's the night before Thanksgiving, and a little bit I'm like, I have to work all day, and we're gonna go do that, but I'm gonna go anyway because that's fun. I gotta do that.
You were talking about your lamp shattering. I was telling you that I had the same kind of, well, not with the little downward spotlight thing, but just the torche lamp that I got. I think I had it before I moved to Little Rock, so a long time ago. And I think it was one of those halogen lamps, like before they started putting the little basket on them, because people would have them, they would catch stuff on fire or whatever. Yeah. But so it was metal, and it had a black metal bowl. And then I think it had like a glass thing on top and white. So it lit upward, and it was great because my apartment when I first moved to Little Rock was in an old turn of the century house, and had a 12-foot high ceiling, and it was one big room, and then like a kitchen and bathroom or whatever. But so that light was great because it would really light bright. Upward, and it was really bright, and it would light the whole apartment really. But I think before I moved to my second apartment, while I was in the apartment, I had my first 2 cats, Hotspur and Cyrano, and at some point they knocked the lamp over, and it was the main room was all carpeted and everything, but so the lamp fell over and hit the carpet. So after that it was like wonky and wobbly and bent.
Well, so I was gonna say we had to throw so part of me at first I was like, it's just the bowl that broke, and we could possibly replace the glass. But the actual light bulb fixture was it fell so hard it broke it.
Yeah. So, I got rid of my torche lamp at some point.
Mark bought a new one because what did we? Oh, I know why. Okay, so when we used to have that lamp with the down thing that broke. We used to have it in our bedroom, and there was one in the living room, and there was. Now I'm confused. And he moved it. No, I can't remember now. Anyway, we did a whole lamp switcheroo around, but he bought a new one, and before this one broke. So we actually have 2 in the living room because our living room was gigantic. So the new one, he put it together and he goes, every time, and this has been our whole marriage, he's like, it's crooked. No matter how I put it together, how I twist it together, it's crooked and it's never straight. I'm like, honey, it's like a Christmas tree. You have to turn it until it looks straight. You just have to keep turning it till it looks straight to wherever you're going to sit. And yeah, it might be if you walk in the door and you look at it, it's probably crooked. But it's like a tree. You have to like it's crooked, but if you turn it, it looks straight. I said, you just gotta live with it. You'll never be perfect.
I used to have, and I guess I got rid of it. I don't know.
They're always crooked though.
If I got rid of it after when I moved down to my first apartment here,
I don't know.
Or if I got rid of it before I moved out here. But it was a lamp that was that Mary Lou had. She got it from a neighbor of hers, but then she never used it because it has a very hard to find light bulb. Yeah. It has what's called a mogul base. So it's bigger than a normal light bulb.
Yeah.
And I used to be able to find it at Walmart, I think. And then after a while, you couldn't find them there anymore. And I think the last one I bought, I had to go to a lamp store and find it. Well, but it was a 3-way lamp, right? So it was great. It was very short. But it was very bright. I remember Danny Allen helped me because when I moved into my second apartment, he and another guy from work were helping me with all my furniture and stuff. And he's like, "What kind of a bug killer do you have in there?" Because it was very, very, very bright, and it was very hot too. Yeah. If you left it on for any length of time, it got very hot. But it was an old-fashioned looking, had a brass lampstand and a glass bowl.
Yeah.
But the only problem was that as it got older, I guess it had like some kind of a short.
Yeah.
And because then when you would go to turn it off, the bulb would turn off, but the lamp was still on or something. Because like if you bumped it, it would still come on. Oh, yeah. No. So after a while I stopped using it because it was just like, I'm gonna burn the house down.
We brought 2 beautiful lamps from my mother-in-law's house, and Rachel has one, and we have the other. But we've stopped using it because Mark doesn't trust the wiring so old. And I told him, I said, what we really need to do is go get it rewired, so we can use it because it's really beautiful. So we should do that.
Yeah.
But what was I going to say? Did I talk about yet? Because it's been a couple of weeks, and I think for some reason I forgot. Did I talk about Hobbs and his TV standing? Did I talk about that?
I don't think so. No. Okay.
In our bedroom we have a treadmill. Don't at me about how. I told you that he's been climbing the treadmill.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Did I talk about the treadmill and the TV?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Because this happened, and I'm like, oh, I forgot to tell a story. So, we have the treadmill. Okay, don't at me. It's up. It's not down. We haven't used it in a while. Okay. So, he's been climbing the treadmill. I've told that story. Like he's balancing on the the treadmill is up like this, and he gets up here, and he's been walking up there, right? And he's been getting on the controls. Next to you, okay?
You right?
Next to the treadmill is a TV. Is a cabinet from IKEA. It's a tall, looks like a bookshelf. It's I think it's thicker front to back than a regular bookshelf would be. And on that, we had a TV. Now, we did the big TV switcheroo of 2022 because we used to have a smallish TV in our room. It was decent size. And then in our living room, we had a entertainment center that closed, and we had a TV that fit in there. I always kind of wanted a bigger TV, but we liked shutting the TV out, being able to close the door and not look at the TV and whatever. But then when Eli moved out, Mark bought a big TV for Eli's room because Eli used to have a big TV in there, and we liked to watch movies in there because it was going to be our little movie room. Well, anyway, long story short, Eli moved home. Eli has a big TV. What are we going to do with the big TV that was in there? So we got rid of the entertainment center, put the big TV in the living room, put the TV that was in the living room in our room, put the TV that was in our room in Hannah's room, and put the TV that was in Hannah's room, which was the oldest and not, the not nicest TV, put that, we're going to give it away. So, so the big switcheroo of 2022. Can
I get something for you?
And but when we moved the TV from the living room into our bedroom, the bottom feet were too wide for that particular bookshelf. So I was like, so Mark goes, oh, I could order a different stand for the TV, which he did. And he ordered a big, like a center stand that attaches to the back. And it's got a nice wide footprint. Thank goodness it has a nice, big, wide base. Because Hobbs decided that he was going to jump on the controls of the treadmill in the middle of the night. And not just get behind the TV. I don't know how he got up there because it was at night. But I hear this sound. And I get my phone and I turn on the flashlight and I'm like, Mark, get up now. I look, here's the TV. Hobbs is on the TV, like this, balancing. I don't know how he got up there. I don't know why he got up there. And he's looking up like, where else can I go? And he's like, his hands are like this around the top of the TV. And his back feet are like this around the top of the TV. And he's like, and you can hear his nails. And he's, doing that thing. And I'm like, Mark, because we're like, okay, sudden moves and he's going to go flying. He's going to either jump on us and tear us to shreds, or when he flies off of there, the TV's going to go and it's going to crash. And mostly I'm worried about him falling from that high. So we're like, we can't get a ladder. We can't, make all this noise. We can't come at him suddenly. And so Mark real quietly goes, I'm like, he goes, well, what am I going to do? I'm like, there's dining chairs just outside our bedroom door. So he goes out there and he gets the chair and he real quietly climbs up there. He said, come here, come here, come here. And he grabs him. And I'm like, what are we going to do? Because I'm like, well, I said, if we put up like a piece of cardboard that's black right here, where he couldn't see, even in the dark, he wouldn't be able to see behind the TV or see that he could jump there. Maybe. So finally, we have these big IKEA plastic bags that we use for laundry, toting and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
He put one upside down on the top of the
treadmill.
The treadmill on the controls. And then we also hung a towel temporarily on the tread that's, because the tread goes up like this to store it. So we put a towel like that. And for some reason that situation has stopped that particular nighttime adventure. Come here, honey. Come here, Rogue. Come here. So I'm like, and now he goes so the big one is on a low table in the living room, and it's so nice and watch movies in there. Hi, you have your paws on my sweater and I don't like that. Don't do that. But he stands up to try to scratch the TV, like, get down, baby. He's so naughty.
Rogue watches television.
So does Hobbs. So I made a mistake with my cats. They didn't pay attention to the TV one bit. But one day I was like, hey, cat TV. This was before we had the big TV. And I turned on YouTube one of those cat TV channels, where they have like birds going out. And they both were like, zoom. But Hobbs has ever since tried to get at the TV, and he'd put his hands up there and
I know there's birds in there somewhere.
Yeah. And so now, anytime we're watching, we were watching a performance of Hannah playing on the TV, and he was watching the bows. I'm like, get down, baby. So I've created a couple of monsters with the TV. They love it.
Anytime Rogue hears Hannah playing, she starts howling.
Well, what I have noticed lately is, in my room, at the foot of my bed, I have the TV on top of a little riser thing on top of my bookcase. So it's up there, right? And that's my safe place. Like when I walk in my room, if I have a soda or whatever, I'll put it up there. I have a little coaster, and I put it in there in the corner of this thing in front of the TV while I've got my back turned, or while I have to, go in and out of the room or whatever, because I don't want the cats messing with it, because they're obsessed with straws and lids. And they will, if I put a glass of soda where the cats can get at it, they'll knock it over or whatever.
Come here, Ro.
Hi,
baby.
And so I put it up there on top of the shelf. But I noticed the other night when I, because my bed faces the television, right? And so the last couple of nights, I've noticed one cat or the other, like at the foot of my bed, looking up at the television and the bookcase, and I'm like, oh my God! If they jump up there, I am lost.
Yeah.
Because there's really kind of nothing
There's
there.
no space there.
But yeah, if they try to jump up there, they're going to knock the TV down, knock everything down, whatever. And
The cats are so good. They excel at that.
and they're just like, and I'm like, no, get over there.
Like in Star Wars, where Luke says, that little droid's going to cause me a lot of trouble. Oh, he excels at that.
Yeah.
So Rob and I, many an evening, will laugh and laugh and laugh because Beth is cussing her cats out.
And like, what is wrong with you? I'm going to beat you with a stick. I do not beat my cats with a stick.
It's so funny.
We're just verbally abusive.
Yes.
There's no banging involved. It's just cursing and yelling. Mostly cursing.
Oh my God. And, Snug is obsessed with, like, he'll get up on my nightstand. And, I had not noticed this, but the other day I went to I had my purse with me, and I went to get something, and there's little scratch marks on it. I guess the purse I had before this one or whatever, or maybe 2 purses ago, I had a really nice, like leather or fake leather, I don't know what, purse. I think it might have been from Charming Charlie, but it was just covered with little claw marks on both sides. It was horrible. And because Snug, every chance he got, would he just loved to claw on it. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? But anyway, so this
cat, there's nothing wrong with him.
So this brand new one, that's what I always look at, like when you see like rattan furniture or
cat food,
wooden baskets. You're like, oh, that's a cat toy. It's a cat scratcher.
I was walking by something
like
with
those
little
cardboard
tassels,
things.
and I was like, oh, cat food.
But so the other day I had my new purse, newish purse, somewhere, and I noticed on the front side of it there's all kinds of zippers and stuff, and on the other side it's just blank, and I noticed some little cat claw picks,
no.
and I'm like, oh no, and then the other day I had it. I have my bed here and my nightstand and a dresser here, and that's where I put my purse, on the corner of the dresser. And I noticed Snug was like, I was hearing some noise, and I turned and looked, and he was on the nightstand, and he was reaching up and going like this on my purse. And I'm like, no. So yeah, it's an ongoing.
That's when you gotta start booby trapping stuff.
So, I mentioned earlier today that I had a shot. Talked with the doctor for a little while, and he said, so we could put a cortisone shot. Would you like that? And I said, yeah, I've had those before. They're really helpful. So then his tech or nurse or whatever she is came in and said, I'm going to set up getting ready for him. Can you take your shirt off? The door was open. And there was a young man right there who also was going to help. And the doctor said, I'll be right back. So I'm like, what? So I said, I can roll the sleeve up. Will that be enough? Because before, I had the shot right here. This time he wanted to put it back here.
Yeah.
And which is why that whole muscle, my arm is like a mess. It'll get better, but so she's like, can you just take that arm out of that sleeve? I tried. But even so, I would have been half shirtless.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm uncomfortable with this.
So they didn't offer you a drape or a
Nope.
paper shirt or
Nope.
anything?
Nope. And finally she said, well, let's ask the doctor if that's good enough for me pulling the sleeve up. And it was. Because I would have said, do you have a drape? Because I don't want to take my shirt off.
That's weird.
Yeah, it was
Usually they're like,
Here's a shirt.
out of the room while you're...
I saw her with a little blue thingy. And I thought it was going to be a drape when she said, you need you to take your shirt off. And I was like...
Are you serious? That's weird.
It was so strange and so... And he is... Don't get me wrong. I absolutely like this doctor. I like talking with him. He's brief. He's brief, but he listens and gives you some options. I took Dad to that same thing somewhere, but off to the right. Was it Dad or Mom? Is it physical therapy over there or something?
Yeah.
Where Ortho, Arizona? Was
Yeah.
it Mom?
Dad.
Was it Dad?
Yeah. Remember about Costco?
Oh.
Yeah. Who's Dad? He had therapy there.
He had physical therapy?
Yes, he did.
Anyway, I just walked in. I went, I've been here before.
Yeah. Who's your doctor? Oh, never mind. You don't tell me that. Anyway,
But I was just kind of weirded out by that a little bit. So when I go see him in December, however cold it is, I think I'll be wearing shorts.
Yeah.
It's going to be looking at my knee. And if they
you just
say...
take your pants off?
Take your pants off so we can give you a shot. I thought that was so funny. I was like, huh?
That's funny.
And don't get me wrong, lately I've had enough doctor visits that I pretty much am used to everything, but you want me to do what?
So I was having a test done, and it was a cardiac MRI, which is, if you've ever had one, is a bizarre experience. Anyway, they have to basically sandwich you between two, they have to put a whole thing. It's weird. Anyway, I was unclothed, and there were two guys, and they were helping me with all this, and they were like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry to have to, and I'm like, look, once you've had kids, it doesn't really matter. I'm kind of over it now, so just do whatever you have to do. Just hurry up. And then there was another time where I had gone, this is a long time ago, I'd gone to the ER at night, so I wasn't wearing a bra. And the guy came in to give me a chest x-ray, and he goes, are you wearing a bra? And I was like, no. And he goes, sweet. And I stopped for a second. I'm like, well, that's the first time I've ever heard that in the ER. And he's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I just meant I'm like, I know. It was just funny because he just immediately went, sweet. Okay.
When I was in college and I had hepatitis, it was a long drawn out thing all semester long. But anyway, I ended up in the hospital. Because
anyway.
So I had gallbladder surgery while I was in the hospital, and I started my period while I was in the hospital. and I had, like nothing, with me.
Trifecta.
And so, yes. So I guess it was like in
Come here, baby.
in the middle of the night that I realized I was starting my period.
Hey, baby.
And because of the surgery, I couldn't wear any underwear. I was in a hospital gown, and the bandages and everything else. And so ordinarily it's not a problem. You just go to the bathroom and
yeah. Anyway.
So I had gone to the bathroom in the middle of the night, and I realized I had just started my period. So I rang the buzzer for the nurse, and it was a male nurse. And I was like, "Oh my God!" And I was like, "Okay, well, they're a professional. It's like they deal with all kinds of who knows what all the time."
Yeah. Your nurse, when you had your brain surgery, the first one, I think it was the first one, it was a male nurse. I loved him. He was so
good.
Yeah,
that guy. Yeah,
so professional.
He was really good. But so this guy, so I just bit the bullet and told him I started my period.
You were so young too.
I know.
If you were a bit older, you would have been just like, "Hey, give me something." But,
so I said I started my period and I need something, and so they had to bring me one of those little belts, and this,
from 1955.
And a pad that had the little.
Should we have put a content warning in front of it? You might want to have to write one in front of it.
But I think this young man was more embarrassed than I
was. Oh my gosh! Yeah, that was.
Yeah, it was the most horrible experience of my 19-year-old life at that point.
I can beat that. When I had the gallbladder surgery in Florida, I was on my period when I went, right? And I did not use pads. But, of course, I was there, I don't know, I went like right after dinner when I got back from...
Mm-hmm.
When I drove across the state and knew I was in trouble. But I got back. And this was the next day when I needed to go into the ER, and I was talking to the nurse because I had to be undressed from the waist down because it was gallbladder surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm in my period. And she said, I can't go with nothing. And she goes, just hold it between your legs. And I was like,
Oh my gosh.
This conversation has taken a turn.
sorry. I hope you're
probably all ladies watching, so I hope y'all understand. Life is the way life is.
But I mean, sometimes some of the things that medical professionals have you do, you kind of go.
Well, then you wondered, like, how much they have to deal with all kinds of random situations.
Well, yeah,
I'm sure they do, but yeah, oh my gosh. Well, on that note, I have to go to work tonight.
Yeah.
I have to go to work tonight.
And I have to go to the attic.
Oh.
That reindeer pattern from Cottage Garden Samplings.
Okay, so
I had ordered that.
All right. So here's the thing: if you listen this far, you get the treat because coming up over the next 4 weeks, we will be announcing. Shall we just announce it? So, in 4 weeks from now will be our 100th episode. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, on Christmas Day anyway. Yeah,
Christmas Day. Yeah, it turns out mathematically we wound up at our 100th episode on Christmas Day, so we're going to celebrate, and we're going to have a big giveaway, and we will outline the rules of said giveaway next week. So,
and we might even have samples.
We might have some examples of things that we will be giving away.
Because we will have 3 separate prizes. Yeah. Because we're
3 of us. Sisters. And we thought about 100 prizes, but we couldn't do that. One for every episode. But we will outline all the parameters next week, so be sure to tune in next week. And tell your friends. And please like, subscribe, and comment. We enjoy that. Thank you for all your comments all this time. It's fun. And what else? Are we done? Are we good? Are we all good?
Yeah. We'll try not to be so
Does that look like a pumpkin?
Graphic.
Yeah.
It's cute.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it does. It looks like a gourd, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pumpkins are gourds, aren't they?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they're squatches.
It's not the pick of the patch.
It's cute. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I was going to use just a bronze colored one, but I thought it was boring.
No, I like that. It's really good. Especially since yours is like patchworky on the stitching.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It actually matches
really well.
pretty well.
This here.
It's perfect.
Mm.
Well, thank you for joining us for one more week. Please be sure
Yes.
to join us next week when we will be all things Advent and talking about our build up to our 100th episode.
Yes.
Thanks for sticking with us all this time for this two years, right? It'll be 2 years.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
because we started Advent of 2020.
Yeah.
So
No, we started before that.
no, it was Advent. It was the Advent weeks of 2020 that we started.
Yeah.
Yes.
We started like in October or something.
No. We started with Advent weeks. We started with Advent weeks.
Anyway.
That's why we started. That's why we did it on Sundays.
Yeah.
That's why. I'm going to go check the calendar, and I'm going to prove her wrong. So, because it has been a year coming up next week, and it'll be 100 episodes in 4 weeks. So thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for being our support and our friends out there, and we appreciate you so much. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.